How you doing, guys? This is Dana from Master Land Investing University. Thanks for tuning in, listening to this audio. What I want to talk to you guys tonight about is 10 of the biggest mistakes land investors make. There's a bunch of them, but I think these 10 are real important to remember, try to avoid. So let's start with the first one. The first one is not having an exit strategy. And what I mean by that is when you buy a particular property as an investor, one of the most important things is to know how you're going to get rid of the property. If you don't know that, a lot of times you're going to get your money tied up, cash flow is going to stop, and you're really not going to be continuing to make money. You need to know how you're going to sell the property. For instance, if you're an investor that does wholesale property, you need to have a good buyer's list. So when you purchase the property, you can get a hold of everybody on your list, see if you can move it that way. If you're dealing with builders, that's another way, but you need to have a strategy. You need to know where you're going to sell it, how you're going to sell it, and what price you're going to sell it at. That needs to be established before you even sign a contract to purchase any property in this business, in my opinion. The second thing is not doing your due diligence. I covered that in an earlier lesson, and that's another key factor that sometimes we forget, we neglect, we get in a hurry, we think we know everything. I had one happen recently. I sold a property to a builder. I thought I had everything squared away. They did their survey. They got a hold of me, said we had an encroachment in the back right corner of my property. What it was, the neighbor had a chain link fence that was sticking out 3 feet. Contacted the neighbor. They neglected my calls, went by, left notes. Long story short, the builder was going to back out. They gave me a 3-day notice. I needed to move the property. I had the intentions for the funds to buy some other properties. So long story short, I went over there in the morning, cut the fence. It wasn't a good idea. It almost went to litigation. I had to speak to the police about it. It's not a good idea. So always make sure you know what you have. Do your due diligence. Dot all your I's, cross all your T's. The next thing is not understanding the 4 phases of a real estate cycle. Another mistake I've made. I made it in the past. Bought at a premium. I knew where we were in the real estate cycle. We were heading towards hyperinflation, which meant we were at the peak of the market. Prices were extreme. They were above what the real value was. When you buy at that point, things crash. All of a sudden, you're holding all the cards. You can't get rid of your property. Money's tied up. You're going to incur costs, taxes, and so on. So you don't want to be in that position. So always understand the 4 phases of the real estate cycle. You can't learn enough about it. You got to study. Make sure you know it's second nature. You can make a lot of money if you understand it, and you can also avoid losing a lot of money. The next thing is not buying at a premium. Similar to what I just mentioned in the 4 phases, you got to know your numbers. You got to establish the value of each deal prior to signing a contract. You got to know what the value is to you. Typically, it's 25-35% you want to pay of a retail price of a property. For instance, if it's on the market, a 90-day comp, and they're averaging about $10,000 for that particular piece of land. When I say don't get greedy, list it at 9. Usually a 9 will sell quicker than a 10. If you overprice it and you're above retail, it's going to sit there, and you know what happens. You have no cash flow. You're not moving property. You're not making money. The next mistake a lot of guys make, and we all do it, we get careless, is not asking the right questions. If you're out driving around looking for property, you're farming your area, and you're dealing one-on-one with potential sellers a lot of times, it's key to ask the right questions. First thing you need to ask them is, why are you selling? What do you need the money for? And get creative. And once they answer these questions, you're in a much better position. Ask them if they'll take financing. Would they be interested in maybe doing an option on the property? Once you learn to be creative, there's a lot more options. You'll find a lot of property. If you're thinking outside the box, you get the answers from the potential seller. Sometimes they'll tell you something, you go, aha. They might need a car. They might need a boat. You might be able to buy a boat for $2,000. It's worth $5,000. Make a deal with them. Give them $5,000 for, give them the boat, and you make the deal. So be creative. Always ask the questions. The more information you get from a potential seller, the much better position you're in. The next one I want to emphasize on is following the masses. I've seen this happen a lot. A lot of people come in, they're listening to the scuttlebutt. People are saying, geez, you got to buy some property, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. The market's great, you can't go wrong. Take your money, buy this. You listen to some realtors that are not really professional in the land end of the business. Sometimes there's bad advice on that end too. So you jump in, you come in late, you buy a property at a premium, market crashes, you're in a bad position. So make sure you're a leader, not a follower, because there's plenty of people out there who give you bad advice. So Become a master of the game. Make sure you're a student from beginning to end. Always want to learn so you won't follow the masses. Next thing I want to emphasize is getting greedy. That goes back to overpricing your property, trying to get as much as you can out of each property. That typically that's not the way to go. I would not recommend that. I've learned from years of experience that getting greedy, get yourself hurt. You're going to run out of money and you're not going to be a good investor that way. So try to set your prices just under market. The name of the game is moving a lot of property as quick as you can, as efficiently as you can. Know how to get the numbers from the internet or the realtors. Know where the market's at. Study your farm area. Price it just under the fair market value, and you'll move your property. Your cash will flow pretty consistently, and you keep making deals. Next one's thinking you know everything. I've done it myself. I've made that mistake also. You get soft. You think you know more than most people or most people in the business, and that's when you make mistakes. From that experience, what I've learned is I've constantly re-educated myself, constantly asking questions, people that have been in the business longer. Make sure you become a student. Don't ever think you know everything, but as soon as you do, you're going to get bit in the butt. It's not a bad idea to have a mentor. If you're starting out, have them walk you through the whole system. Start from A, go through Z, ask questions, be a good student. The next thing is not being creative, and I cannot say this enough. The more you learn to be creative and think outside the box, look for opportunity, the better off you'll be, the better deals you'll get. I even suggest to drive around, look at property, even though you're a beginner investor, you haven't done it yet, you may not have any money. Look at a property as if you have no money and try to figure out 3 ways you'd present to a potential seller that you could tie up that property with no money. Now, the better you get at that, the better you'll be in the future, because there's a lot of situations that'll come up and you value the property right, the numbers right, you think you can buy it right, but there's something up that you can't make the deal. So if you're creative, find out what the customer wants, a potential seller, find out what they want, provide what they want. Think outside the box. Be a master at creativity. I've done so many deals thinking outside the box, I can't even list them all. The last one, actually, yeah, I think it's the last one, I want to say is wanting to get rich quick. Big mistake. If you get into this business to get rich quick, you might as well get into another business, because my advice is that's not the way to go. Don't get me wrong. If you learn the business, learn the real estate phases, the 4 phases of real estate cycle, there's times you can load up the money. You can make a ton real quick. I've done it in the past. But over time, consistency is the key. The money's going to come. I mean, you can make a lot of money. The potential is unlimited. The more you become a student, the more you're willing to learn and be patient, be creative, hit the pavement, always listen, always learn, always ask questions, talk to realtors, talk to builders, talk to friends. See high grass? Go to the county site, find who owns the property, give them a call. You just never know. The more you ask, the more you get. I've learned that from years ago. My dad told me, if you don't ask, you don't get. So don't try to get rich overnight. Believe me when I tell you, you can be as wealthy as you want to be if you're willing to be a student and you keep in the game, you don't get discouraged. Once you do something enough, you become very proficient and professional at it. But it's not going to start out that way. I've made lots and lots of money in the real estate business. Made a lot of mistakes. But I never approached it to try to get rich quick. A lot of guys hit these YouTube sites, they read a lot of books, and they think they're going to find one book and that's going to be the answer to get rich quick. It doesn't happen. Wealth is made over time. The richest people in the world look long-term. They have a good, solid plan. They have an exit strategy. They always do their due diligence. They surround themselves with a wonderful team, and they're constantly educating themselves. So those are basically 10 of the biggest mistakes that land investors make. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk soon. I'm out. Bye-bye.